cat, so we're not going to be concerned with those, right? So we're going to do the latissimus dorsi first because you usually can see it. Look at it here. Do you see this muscle here? The outline of it? Yes, no?
Yes.
Comes way up here. Okay, that's latissimus dorsi that runs into your trapezius, which is here. So I'm going to go in right in here. There's some fatty tissue here under the arm. This muscle is paper thin. You know, this is muscle here. Your fingers are your friend for these muscles, because otherwise, that's just fat, so I think I'm all right still. Just gonna get that fat off. There we go. So now I'm gonna get into that muscle. Try to lift it off. I'm gonna poke down here. There we go. See, it's paper thin. And I'm gonna just kind of roll here just to kind of lift this up. You don't wanna go too deep, see that? Because if you go too deep, and the minute you can see blue, then you know you're at the end of the muscle, all right? So I'm gonna lift this up now, and I'm gonna snip along that outline of that muscle. You see that? There's some fascia here. I'm just going to clip that. And again, I'm going to use my finger as my little friend here to lift that muscle up. You see how easily it pulls up then? And that way you know you're not cutting into any organs, and that way you know you're just isolating. See, there's the end of the muscle. So we're just going to clip. See that? How nicely that lifts up? So I'm going to cut then, because I want to make those wings. And you can see here, you just cut along where it shows.
I didn't quite catch that. Could you please?
No, I cannot.
She thought you said Siri.
Okay, see that? How nicely that came up? That's your latissimus dorsi. Okay, like a wing. And you're only going to cut one side of the cat. Right? So if you make a mistake, you can go to the other side. Plus, it's just easier. The hardest muscle to get off is the trapezius. Now, the trapezius, if you remember, comes here. See how it comes there? And it even goes down underneath the latissimus dorsi. So what I'm going to do, he's got a little chunk of fat here on his back. That's kind of interesting. I'm going to snip here and lift this up. Okay, now this was part of my trapezius here, so I'm just going to cut right in there. Because the latissimus dorsi's job is to go up into the humerus to pull your arm down and back. But this is part of the trapezius here. So once I've done that, then I'm going to get my finger in there. See, again, I see blue, so I know that there's no muscle there. But I got to get...
Do you mean like
I blue of the glove, okay. Yep. So what I need to do is work this trapezius off of here, because it's adhered right onto the scapula. What do you need, sir?
Brain.
Melissa took a lot of my brains.
She brought it back.
Huh?
I got it.
You got it. So we're going to get our finger down in here and lift, and you're going to feel it pull. Okay? But I got to get it off that scapula. And you know the generalized shape of the trapezius, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we know it comes down. See how I cut here? It's going to cut over here. I'm probably going to cut into my deltoid. I always do. It's just what I do. Come on, lift off of there. So what you're trying to do with your finger is you're trying to get that fascia loosened off of there. I don't know why everybody has to take my models. Seriously.
You just have the best models.
No, I keep them. I keep
Aaron
them.
told us last semester that you can get kind of scary about people messing with your labs.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
were in your
Remember
lab all semester. He's like, make sure you put things back.
Because she can get kind of scary.
She's particular about how she likes her lab.
That's correct. Is there anything wrong with that?
I don't think so.
It's nice.
There's your trapezius.
Can
Okay.
you flip him
It
over a
has
little
many
bit?
parts, but do you see how it makes that triangular shape? That's all trapezius. Now, in the cat, the levator scapula is over here, but I like to pin it in the model because I have other muscles to pin. Once I've got that trapezius loosened off here, and I've got my latissimus dorsi out of the way, I'm going to take the cat, I'm going to tuck his arm underneath. I'm going to still lift this up a little more because I want to get that scapula to come that way. See that? And when I do that, then all of a sudden I can see, I'm still lifting off this trap. I'm going to cut it a little more here. And because I've got part deltoid here, which I always do. There we go. So now I've got that trapezius moved out of the way. So now all of a sudden I see my scapula here, and you're not cooperating, kitty. Look at all those muscles. See those? Yes, no? So you should see a muscle right here that goes all the way to the top. Do you see that one I'm lifting up?
Yeah.
That's the one the cat has that we don't have. That's the rhomboid
Is
capitis.
there only one?
There's only, well, one on each side.
Oh, well, yeah. But is there only one muscle that they have? And we don't?
No, there's 3.
Okay.
Okay, rhomboid capitis. They need an extra rhomboid. But then I'm going to see my rhomboids. Look at them here. Now, it looks like one big rhomboid. Well, essentially it is, but there's the rhomboid minor and the rhomboid major. Normally, they just separate themselves, which they kind of did here,
It's the yellow fat.
but not the best. Not my favorite separation. So I'm going to make a separation. So, rhomboid capitis, rhomboid minor, big one is rhomboid major, right? Muscle down in here, subscapularis. Then I'm going to feel for my spine of the scapula here, right? The muscle above it is the what? Supraspinatus. And now I'm going to separate out my teres major, which is that little bulgy thing right there. Teres minor is tucked underneath like they showed you in the video. But again, the teres muscles I always pin, usually in, and I'll have to get the big muscle guy. Although, does he have a good one? Not really, kind of, sort of. All right? So rhomboid capitis, rhomboid minor, rhomboid major, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres major. Teres minor is still part of the rotator cuff muscles. Major is not. Right? Let's see if you, well, then we're going to go around front. Around front, you want to separate your pectoralis major, because I want to see my serratus anterior. So what I like to do is basically, you know, you can well, he's not the best. You know, they have the muscle that goes across here, which is unique to kitties, and then your pec should be in here. So what I'm going to do is get my finger in here, and I'm going to lift again. See that? So I got pec minor, I got pec major, and I want to get my serratus, oh yes, anterior muscle, but I don't want to ruin my lat real bad. Because the lat inserts on the humerus and the pecs come over and insert on the humerus. So I'm going to just clip, because I can kind of see where one pec is. just gonna clip there. Again, you don't wanna go very far. And the reason I'm doing this, and I've also got deltoid up here too, by the way. So, kind of try to separate these without damaging too much. Well, I didn't cut far enough up, but that's all right. So this would be the pectoralis major for all intents and purposes, okay? Now, underneath here, in the rib cage, we should be able to separate that serratus anterior. There's a serratus posterior too. Usually it separates out better than this, but it is what it is.
Doesn't it usually kind of look like gills?
It looks like gills. Usually you can see the strings. You see that string? That's going to one of them. But for whatever reason, it's not cooperating. Come on. Oh dear God. It's not cooperating. Sometimes you can use my fingers. There we go. This is not the best. I have to look at one of your cats. That is not a good serratus. It is not doing what it's supposed to do.
Can you turn him over so we can see what you're doing?
Well, the thing
When
is,
you get
it's
there.
just not, it's not doing what it should do. There's one of them. These are, they're, you know when you eat ribs?
Really?
You know how they're in little sections? Yeah, we're gonna do food now. See, there's one of them. There's a serratus anterior. They usually separate into little, okay, riblet 1, riblet 2. Anyway, those are serratus anterior. Those are your boxer's muscles. All right, I also want to try to get, because I've already, oh, this is incredible. This big muscular pad here is all deltoid. There's 3 parts, but you don't have to learn all the parts. So why don't you try to get that? I'm gonna take this fat off of him. You got those so far?
Yep.
So go try that and you're